Imagine a chameleon. It changes colors to adapt, to survive, to hunt. Now imagine that chameleon is in your bed. In the beginning, it felt like a movie script. The chemistry was undeniable. The intensity was almost suffocating. You had never felt so desired, so seen, so consumed. It felt like he was reading not just your body, but your soul. Every touch was a promise that this connection was unique, transcendental. You thought, finally, I've found someone who speaks my language, in every sense. But then, something changed. Subtly at first, and then brutally. That same person who couldn't keep his hands off you suddenly became cold, mechanical, distant. Or perhaps it went the other way. The affection vanished, replaced by strange demands, practices that made you feel uncomfortable, objectified, as if you were just a prop in a scene he was directing in his own head. You lie down at night, and the question echoes in the silence of the room. What happened? Where is that man from the beginning? Did I do something wrong? Has my body changed? Am I no longer enough? This confusion is not accidental. It is the direct byproduct of being sexually involved with a personality structure that doesn't operate based on connection, but on consumption. A narcissist's sexuality is perhaps the area where the mask falls off most viscerally, but it's also the hardest to decipher, because it involves our deepest vulnerability. Today, we are going to turn off the stage lights and turn on the light of truth. We are going to go down into the basement of this hidden sexuality, so you can stop blaming your body for the disorder in his mind. My name is Lauren Mitchell. My purpose with this channel is to show you that the problem was never you, and more importantly, that you are not alone. Check the link in the description to find my ebook. No video or random explanation compares to this material. Here you will find, for the first time, a complete, organized, and supportive guide about the narcissistic partner. If you suspect you've lived through this, or are still trying to understand it years later, this is the step that finally changes everything. Let's start by validating what you've been through, because the experience of intimacy with a narcissist follows a painfully predictable pattern, but one that, lived from the inside, feels like absolute chaos. Usually, it all starts with what we call somatic mirroring. During the idealization phase, the narcissist wasn't making love to you. He was studying you. He mimicked your desires, your intensity, your rhythms. If you were romantic, he was the prince. If you were adventurous, he was the explorer. This phase creates a powerful biochemical bond in your brain. Oxytocin, dopamine, you get addicted to the feeling of the perfect fit. But what you felt as a soul fusion was, for him, merely the object acquisition phase. Over time, the dynamics shift to one of two extremes, and sometimes oscillate between them, which is even more maddening. The first scenario is the glacial withdrawal. Sex, which used to be daily and intense, becomes a rare currency. He starts to reject you. He says he's tired, stressed, or worse. He makes subtle comments about your appearance, your weight, or compares you to other women or actresses. You start trying harder, you buy lingerie, you try to innovate, and you're met with a sigh of boredom or a look of contempt. You feel like you're begging for affection in your own home. The second scenario is mechanical objectification. The sex continues, or even increases, but the emotional quality disappears. He doesn't look you in the eye. The act becomes performative, focused entirely on his pleasure, or the validation that he is a stud. You feel like you could be anyone there. Post-sex affection vanishes. He rolls over, grabs his phone, or gets up immediately. You feel used, like a physical vessel, emptied of your humanity. This transition leaves you in a state of deep cognitive dissonance. How can someone want you so intensely 1 month and treat you like a piece of old furniture the next? The short answer is, he never saw you. He saw his own reflection in your eyes, and when his reflection started to get bored, you lost your utility. But that's just the surface. To understand the dark truth, we need to look at the psychological pillars that sustain this behavior. The first big revelation you need to internalize is this. For a narcissist, sex is never about intimacy. Intimacy requires vulnerability, and vulnerability for the narcissist is synonymous with annihilation. So, if it's not about intimacy, what is it about? It's about self-esteem regulation and power. Think of his sexuality as a transaction system. In the beginning, sex is the primary tool to hook the supply, you. He needs you to worship him. When he satisfies you sexually during the love-bombing phase, He isn't focused on your pleasure because he cares about your well-being. He is focused on your pleasure because your moans, your surrender, and your admiration act as a magnifying mirror for his ego. He thinks, "Look how powerful I am. Look how I control her body. Look how irresistible I am." You are the mirror. Sex is the glass cleaner. As the relationship progresses and he feels he already owns you, the need to impress diminishes. Now sexuality becomes a tool for punitive control. If you criticize him, if you ask for something, if you show autonomy, he cuts off the sex. It's a way of saying, "You only have access to me if you behave like the obedient extension I want you to be." Sexual rejection is one of the cruelest forms of devaluation because it attacks the core of a partner's feminine identity and self-esteem. On the other hand, he may use sex to reset abuse. After a terrible fight where he humiliated you, he might seek you out with overwhelming sexual intensity. You mistake this for reconciliation or passion, but it's just sex bombing. It's a way to shut you up, to confuse your nervous system, and to ensure you stay trapped in the addictive cycle without him ever having to apologize or change his actual behavior. It's all a transaction. If he's not gaining validation, feeling like a god, or control, making you feel like trash, sex loses its interest for him. Now, let's go deeper into the second layer, the structural inability to maintain interest. The narcissist suffers from chronic inner emptiness and pathological boredom. Because he doesn't have a solid self, he needs constant external stimuli to feel alive. In the beginning, you were the novelty. Your body was new territory to be conquered. But once conquered, the territory loses its shine. The narcissist cannot establish depth. He operates in breadth, not depth. A healthy relationship deepens over time. Intimacy grows, and trust improves the sex. 4. The narcissist. Time is the enemy of desire. Familiarity breeds contempt. This leads us to a fundamental psychological concept, the Madonna whore complex. Many narcissists cannot integrate feelings of love, respect, with sexual desire. In their compartmentalized minds, there are two types of partners: the one who serves the public image, takes care of the house, and is the respectable mother-wife, Madonna; the one who serves carnal desire, filth, and forbidden excitement, whore. When you become the steady, official partner, you automatically fall into the Madonna, or mother, category. And psychologically, he cannot desire a mother figure. This explains why he suddenly loses desire for you, but continues to consume pornography voraciously, or seek out extramarital affairs. For him to feel arousal, there needs to be an emotional disconnection. He needs to objectify to desire. If he respects you, or if you demand emotional intimacy, look at me, talk to me, it kills his libido because it humanizes you. And he doesn't want to have sex with a complex human being with needs. He wants to have sex with a fantasy that requires nothing but performance. This is why you feel that the more you try to connect emotionally, the further he pulls away sexually. You are trying to mix oil and water in his fragmented mind. We now come to the darkest point, and often the hardest to digest. A narcissist's sexuality is frequently the stage where he acts out his hidden hostility and his own shame. Many victims report that, over time, sexual requests become more aggressive, degrading, or focused on acts that cause discomfort. We aren't talking about consensual fetishes between healthy adults where there is care and respect. We are talking about coercion and dehumanization. Why does this happen? Deep in his unconscious, the narcissist carries massive toxic shame. He feels inadequate and weak. To avoid feeling this shame, he needs to project it onto someone else. During the sexual act, by degrading you, whether verbally, by forcing acts you don't like, or by treating you with cold brutality, he is psychologically transferring his dirt onto you. If he makes you feel like a whore, in the pejorative sense he uses, he feels like the saint or the tamer. He feels superior. This also explains the frequent addiction to pornography, often in violent or extreme categories. Pornography offers the perfect supply. Actors who demand nothing, don't judge, are always available, and can be turned off when boredom hits. It is total control without the risk of rejection. When he brings these demands to bed with you and you refuse, his fury isn't just sexual frustration. It is narcissistic rage. You are refusing to participate in the script that keeps his ego inflated. You are refusing to be the dumping ground for his shame. The dark truth is that, for many narcissists, Sex is an act of hostility. It is a way to invade, colonize, and use the other person's body for assisted masturbation. Your satisfaction is not just irrelevant. Sometimes your dissatisfaction or discomfort is secretly exciting to him because it confirms he has absolute power over your well-being. When looking at this three-dimensional map, sex as currency, boredom from lack of depth, and degradation as a defense against shame, it all starts to make sense. You didn't stop being attractive. You didn't fail in bed. You simply stopped being a novelty and became a reality. And the narcissist doesn't know how to deal with reality, the pain you feel, the sense of being used and discarded or kept on a dusty shelf is real. But the cause is not your insufficiency. The cause is his absolute inability to see another person as a complete human being. Understanding this is the master key to your liberation. You don't need to spice things up to fix this. You don't need to lose weight, change your hair, or accept practices that hurt your soul to try and win back that man from the beginning. That man was a mirror. Reclaim sovereignty over your body. Your sexual worth and your dignity are not in the hands of someone who uses intimacy as a weapon of war. Healthy sexuality is an exchange. It is vulnerability and presence. Everything he is incapable of giving. Now that you see the broken gears behind the mask, you can stop trying to fix them and start walking away from that stage, toward a life where you are not a prop, but the protagonist of your own story. Feel free to leave your story, your vent, or even a suggestion for the next video's theme in the comments below. Check the link in the description to find my ebook and the benefits of being a channel member. Click the suggested video on the screen to stay with me, and remember, you are light. You are. Never forget to shine.